Alright, this is going to be a quick tutorial on how to control DMX Lighting with Unreal Engine so that you can achieve something like this. I'm using Unreal Engine 5.3, and so I'm going to open up the plugins. There are native DMX plugins available. So plugins, DMX, and what I'm going to need today is DMX Engine, Fixtures, and Protocol. So enable those and restart the editor. Once we're back up, we're going to go to Project Settings, Plugins, DMX, and this is where we set up the communication. For this, I'm using a Chave DMX interface that I can connect my lights to, and they will receive the data over the network. So I'm going to pull up the settings page for my interface and create an output port in Unreal and start matching those settings. So I need to make sure the protocol matches, make sure it's on the same network so it's reachable, and also make sure the DMX frequency is the same between the two devices. But after all that is set up, I should be able to communicate with my interface. So now we're going to create a DMX library, which is kind of the core of how we're going to do everything here. The library is what stores the fixtures and the DMX patching. So let's create a new library. First tab is the settings, and you see it has our output port we just created there, and it's enabled. Next tab is fixtures. Nothing yet, so let's go ahead and create one. I'm going to create a simple light for this light I have here. There's also the option to import a light. The modes are if, for example, your light has like a 4-channel mode and an 8-channel mode, you can make different modes for it. I just have one mode here today. So one mode, and I'm going to add the 7 channels for the specific light I have. Then I can go through and start to assign the attributes for each channel. So following the instructions that came with my light, I have dimmer, RGBW, and then channel 6 and 7 are for some other features like strobe and stuff like that. I'm not going to use those today, but it's still important to assign them so that those channels are allocated when we start patching and nothing overlaps. So now we've created a light and we can go over to patching. You can see our universe laid out here. It has nothing yet, so let's start adding a light. I have my simple light here. I'm going to select that one mode I made, universe 1 starting at address 1, and I'm going to add 2 lights. So go ahead and add those, and there they are. Alright, so my lights are patched in the universe. I can move them around to different addresses. I'm going to keep them at 1 and 8 for now. So light 1 starts at channel address 1 and has 7 channels, and then light 2 starts at address 8 and has 7 channels. So it'll be important for me to make sure that my lights are set up with those addresses in mind so that they're getting the correct data. Alright, so that is all the setup required. Now we can actually make an actor to start making stuff happen. So I'm going to create just a simple blueprint actor. In this blueprint, I'm going to create a spotlight or a point light. This isn't required for DMX, but it's just going to make it so that I can see in the scene what the light color is supposed to be. So add our point light there and also add the DMX component. For the DMX component, we're going to need to choose which library it is referencing. So we're going to select that library we just created. And you can also choose a fixture right here. So we have light 1 and light 2 that we just made. I'm not going to select one yet, and I'll show you why here. I'm going to pull out 2 instances of that actor I just created for the 2 lights that I have with me. When I click on this instance of the light, I'm going to go to the DMX component and select the fixture there. So this one on the left is going to be light 1, and this one on the right is going to be light 2. But now let's make it so that something's actually happening and those lights are changing color. I'm going to go to event tick and change it to every second so that I have a logic loop that is occurring every second. And what I'm going to do there is grab the point light and just set it to a random color. I just want to see that something is happening so that we can tell if stuff is working. So just grab that point light, grab random RGB values, and it is going to set that every second. So let's see if that works. All right, nice. The lights in the scene are changing every second. This isn't doing anything with DMX yet, so let's go ahead and add that in now. DMX, we're going to get the fixture, and we are going to send DMX to that fixture. And so now we have to make an attribute map for what values to send over DMX. You can see these attributes here correspond to what we set up when we created the fixture. So I'm going to choose dimmer and RGB. And when I put values into that map, it is going to map it to the correct channel for that fixture. So let's grab the point light and get the current color, break it into its RGB values, and put those values into the DMX map. Set the dimmer to something static, and we're ready to go. I'm going to delete some of the other light in the scene so it's easier to see. Open up the DMX channel monitor so we can see if anything looks like it's changing, which it does. And so here we go. In our scene, the point light is changing, but it is also sending DMX, as we can see on the channel monitor. And my lights here in person that are hooked up to the Chave interface are switching with the lights in the scene.